What are BCRs and SCCs and why are they important for GDPR compliance? Great question. Let's dive into it. The General Data Protection Regulation has established a variety of mechanisms for international data transfers. Among these, binding corporate rules, or BCRs, and standard contractual clauses, also known as SCCs, stand out for their unique scope and application. BCRs are designed for multinational corporations, allowing them to transfer personal data within the corporate group across borders. On the other hand, SCCs are used for data transfers between EU and non-EU entities not covered by adequacy decisions. Both mechanisms serve a crucial role in maintaining GDPR compliance for organizations involved in global data processing activities. Whether your organization is a multinational corporation or a smaller entity with international data transfers, understanding BCRs and SCCs is a must. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial for any organization involved in international data transfers. Let's delve into the world of binding corporate rules. In the vast landscape of data protection, binding corporate rules, or BCRs, play a pivotal role. These are designed specifically for multinational corporations that transfer personal data within their corporate group across international borders. But what exactly are BCRs? Think of them as a company's internal code of conduct for data protection. They provide a framework that ensures the company's global operations are in compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation. BCRs are not just about compliance, they're also about commitment. By adopting BCRs, a company is making a bold statement. It's saying, we're serious about protecting your data no matter where in the world we operate. This commitment goes a long way in fostering trust and confidence among consumers, partners, and regulators. The scope of BCRs is wide-ranging. They cover everything from how data is collected and processed to how it's stored and transferred. They also outline the rights of individuals whose data is being processed and the measures in place to protect those rights. However, it's important to remember that BCRs are not a one-size-fits-all solution. Each company's BCRs will be unique, tailored to their specific operations, data handling practices, and risk profile. This allows for a level of flexibility that is both practical and effective. Implementing BCRs is not a quick or easy process. It involves a deep internal analysis, careful drafting of the rules, and then seeking approval from the relevant data protection authorities. But the effort is well worth it. Once in place, BCRs provide a solid foundation for GDPR compliance across all of the company's global operations. BCRs, when properly implemented, can ensure seamless and compliant data transfers within a corporate group. They truly are a powerful tool in the data protection toolkit, but remember, BCRs are just one part of the puzzle. So how does one go about implementing BCRs? This question often poses as a hurdle for many organizations. The development and implementation of binding corporate rules, or BCRs, is a process that requires careful planning, execution, and monitoring. To begin with, the organization must carry out an internal analysis. This includes an in-depth review of the organization's data processing activities, data flows, and existing data protection measures. The aim is to identify gaps and areas of improvement in the current data protection framework. Once the analysis is complete, the organization moves on to the drafting phase. Here, the BCRs are written in a way that reflects the organization's data protection policies and practices. This is where the organization outlines how it will comply with the GDPR. It's crucial to ensure that the BCRs include key elements such as data protection principles, rights of data subjects, and mechanisms for accountability and enforcement. The data protection principles include lawfulness, fairness, transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity, and confidentiality. These principles provide the foundation for any data protection activity and hence must be embedded in the BCRs. Rights of data subjects are equally important. These include the right to be informed, the right of access, the right to rectification, the right to erasure, the right to restrict processing, the right to data portability, the right to object, and rights in relation to automated decision-making and profiling. Ensuring these rights are respected and facilitated is a crucial part of the BCRs. Mechanisms for accountability and enforcement involve internal and external checks. Internally, the organization needs to have robust procedures for monitoring compliance with the BCRs. Externally, the BCRs must be approved by the relevant data protection authorities, or DPAs. Let's take the example of multinational corporation Example Corp. They successfully implemented BCRs by conducting a thorough internal analysis, drafting comprehensive BCRs that were reflective of their data protection practices, and obtaining approval from the DPAs in each of the EU member states where they operated. The result? Example Corp has been able to smoothly transfer personal data within its corporate group across borders while remaining compliant with GDPR. Developing and implementing BCRs is not a one-time activity. It requires ongoing monitoring and updating in response to changes in data processing activities, legal requirements, and technological advancements. Remember, BCRs are not a quick-fix solution. They are a long-term commitment to data protection and GDPR compliance. They serve as a testament to an organization's commitment to protecting personal data, regardless of where it is processed. By following these steps, organizations can effectively implement BCRs and ensure GDPR compliance. So let's move on to the next topic, where we will delve into standard contractual clauses, another essential tool for international data transfers under GDPR. Standard contractual clauses, or SCCs, play an instrumental role in the landscape of GDPR compliance. They serve as pre-approved contractual terms that organizations can use to legally transfer personal data from the European Union to countries outside the Union that may not provide an adequate level of data protection. Imagine SCCs as a contractual bridge, enabling data to flow securely from one shore, the European Union, to another anywhere in the world. They act as a safeguard, providing assurances that personal data transferred under these clauses will be protected to a standard that aligns with GDPR. But what happens when the destination country's data protection laws do not align with GDPR? This is where the beauty of SCCs comes into play. They are designed to be flexible and adaptable, providing a robust framework that can be inserted into a variety of contractual agreements, regardless of the destination country's data protection laws. Now, it's important to mention the Schrems II decision. In this landmark court ruling, it was decided that while SCCs remain valid, the data exporter and importer have a shared responsibility to assess the level of data protection in the destination country. If the data protection is found lacking, supplementary measures may be required to ensure GDPR compliance. This ruling has led to updates to the SCCs with the aim of strengthening the protections they offer. Organizations are now required to conduct a Transfer Impact Assessment, or TIA, to evaluate the laws of the destination country and determine whether additional safeguards are needed. This is a critical step in ensuring that SCCs continue to serve as an effective tool for GDPR-compliant data transfers. In summary, SCCs are more than just a set of contractual terms. They are a dynamic tool, designed to adapt to varying legal landscapes and to ensure that the fundamental rights of data subjects are respected, regardless of where their data travels. SCCs are a flexible and effective tool for ensuring GDPR compliance in data transfers. But how can an organization adopt standard contractual clauses, or SCCs? Let's delve into the process. The first step in adopting SCCs is to select the appropriate set. The European Commission has approved 2 sets of SCCs for data transfers from data controllers in the EU to data controllers outside the EU, and 1 set for transfers from controllers to processors. The choice of set depends on the nature of the transfer and the role of the parties involved. It's crucial to understand these distinctions to ensure that the selected set aligns with your organization's data transfer activities. After selecting the appropriate set, the next step is to incorporate the SCCs into your contracts. This can be done by attaching them as an annex to your existing data processing agreements or by integrating them into the body of the contract. It's important to note that SCCs must be used in their entirety and without modifications to retain their validity under GDPR. Once the SCCs are incorporated into the contracts, the next step is to ensure their enforceability. This involves verifying that the clauses are legally binding and enforceable in the jurisdictions of both the data exporter and the data importer. It may also involve implementing mechanisms for dispute resolution and remedies for data subjects in case of non-compliance. But the implementation of SCCs doesn't end there. To complement SCCs, organizations should conduct transfer impact assessments. These assessments evaluate the level of data protection in the destination country and determine whether it is sufficient to meet the standards of the GDPR. If the assessment reveals deficiencies, supplementary measures may be required to ensure an adequate level of protection for the transferred data. Now let's look at some practical examples of how SCCs can be applied in different contexts. For instance, a European company may use SCCs to transfer customer data to a call center located in a non-EU country. Similarly, a multinational corporation may use SCCs to share employee data with its overseas branches. In each case, the SCCs provide a legal framework for the data transfers, helping the organizations maintain GDPR compliance. Another example is a tech company using cloud-based services provided by a company outside the EU. The tech company can incorporate SCCs into its service agreement with the cloud provider, ensuring that the personal data of its EU users is protected when it is processed in the cloud. Implementing SCCs requires careful planning and execution, but can significantly aid in GDPR compliance. Embedding a culture of data protection throughout your organization's international data transfer activities. What challenges might one encounter in implementing BCRs and SCCs? As with any complex legal mechanisms, implementing binding corporate rules and standard contractual clauses is not without its hurdles. The first challenge lies in understanding the intricacies of these mechanisms. Both BCRs and SCCs involve comprehensive legal provisions and are deeply entwined with the broader framework of GDPR. This complexity requires a thorough understanding of data protection principles and the ability to apply them in the global context. Secondly, the process of developing and implementing BCRs and SCCs can be labor-intensive and time-consuming. For BCRs, this involves a detailed internal analysis, drafting the rules, and obtaining approval from data protection authorities. Similarly, SCCs require careful selection of the appropriate set of clauses, incorporating them into contracts and ensuring their enforceability. Another challenge is the dynamic nature of data protection laws. The legislation is continually evolving to address emerging privacy concerns and technological advancements. This necessitates regular monitoring and updating of BCRs and SCCs in response to these legal developments. The Schrems II decision, which significantly impacted the use of SCCs, exemplifies the importance of staying abreast with these changes. Moreover, the enforcement of these mechanisms can be challenging. Ensuring compliance across different jurisdictions, each with its own set of data protection laws, can be a daunting task. This is where supplementary measures come into play. These additional safeguards, such as encryption and pseudonymization, can help ensure the effectiveness of BCRs and SCCs and mitigate the risk of data breaches. Lastly, organizations may face resistance when implementing these mechanisms. This could stem from a lack of understanding or awareness about GDPR, concerns about the cost and effort involved, or apprehension about the potential impact on business operations. Despite these challenges, BCRs and SCCs remain essential tools for GDPR compliance. They provide a legal basis for international data transfers and demonstrate an organization's commitment to protecting personal data, thus enhancing trust and confidence among data subjects and stakeholders alike. Let's summarize what we've learned today. Binding corporate rules and standard contractual clauses are essential mechanisms for international data transfers under the GDPR. They provide the legal framework and demonstrate an organization's commitment to compliance across global operations. BCRs are designed for multinational corporations to transfer personal data within the corporate group across borders. They are a testament to an organization's commitment to data protection principles and the rights of data subjects. The process to implement BCRs involves an internal analysis, drafting, and approval by data protection authorities, and this process requires careful planning and strategic consideration. On the other hand, SCCs play a crucial role in GDPR compliance for data transfers between EU and non-EU entities, especially when the latter are not covered by adequacy decisions. Updating SCCs in light of legal developments such as the Schrems II decision is vital for maintaining compliance. Implementing SCCs involves selecting the appropriate set, incorporating them into contracts, and ensuring enforceability. Both BCRs and SCCs come with their own set of legal and practical challenges. Monitoring and updating these mechanisms in response to legal developments is a continuous requirement for organizations. Supplemental measures are often needed to ensure the effectiveness of these mechanisms. Choosing between BCRs and SCCs requires a thorough understanding of the organization's structure, its data transfer needs, and its compliance capabilities. Considerations such as the complexity of data flow patterns and resource implications must also be taken into account. Strategic planning for long-term GDPR compliance is more than just choosing the right tool. It involves a deep commitment to data protection principles and a proactive approach to potential challenges. Remember, the choice between BCRs and SCCs depends on your organization's unique needs and capabilities. Both are vital tools for ensuring GDPR compliance.